So it can be confirmed. To you, my Yah, do I lift up my soul. And trust in you, he always kept me whole. And left my enemies deep in their holes. Let none that wait on Yahweh be ashamed. Put shame on those who sin without a cause. Show me your ways, please teach me your laws. Oh Elohim of my salvation, I'm staying down and patient. As a child, all the while I'm waiting. Remember not the sins of my youth. Lead me in your truth and he'll give your soul ease. The earth shall remain inherited by a seed. The secret of YisraEL who fears Elohim, a fool believes everything and to every word spoken. You can't take heed unless you hear somebody curse. You know you did the same thing. That's why I'm begging Yah for mercy and his love and kindness, cause I know that I ain't worthy.
The seven seas, captivity is taking hold upon me. Put fright in me and now we flee from fallen leaves. The grinding grief from all the blood, how people sing. And now we cry, where is the word from Elohim? And so we said that we are his wives, to be submissive, but we dismissed it. It is of this reason we have fallen victim to the lies that your root will prey and pursue. Rebellious of his son, forgotten that he is one. Broken the holy ordinance, rejection of reproof. Then acknowledge what we do. Now we return back to the truth.
Yah's word is the truth. Yah's decrees is the proof. Local 12 just released the scoop. It's the summer of Sam. They calling his hand. Made us worship the son of man. And somehow that the moon, they stole our style and gave it to Rothschild. Now we exalt the vow, but hit the turnstile. Yah's Nabi set the crooked things straight. Praise Yah from the rising to the evening to the closing the gates. Exposing the fake. Yah give the truth a daybreak. Now the liars can't escape, and the haters can't relate to the light that truth make. See the wicked's pride deflate. Ye adore Yah, magnify Yah, cause he's great.
All Yah give is truth. All Yah teach is truth.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praise and honor to the Holy One of Israel, to the Creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is there and is, by saying hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous, Yah is holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. Once again, the Creator has allowed us to come before you another day, bringing to you his great, holy, and exalted words, even the words of truth. My name is Moreh, IshiYAH, YisraEL, of the house of Israel, located right here in Cincinnati, Ohio, 2330 Kemper Lane, bringing to you nothing but the truth. And yes, it is true. All we're going to do is tell you the truth. For Yah ordained me to tell you the truth, and this is what we're going to do. And who is this Yah? Yah is the creator of the heaven, the earth, the sea, and all that is therein is. Yah is the Elohim of our fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YisraEL, whom you may know as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Yah is our king. He's our judge. He's our lawgiver. And Yah is our only Savior, and not just of Israel. Yah is the Savior of the world. And I praise the mighty Yah for this beautiful and great exalted opportunity to come before you once again with his great, holy, and exalted words. Again, we will be dealing with the 39 books of the Holy Scriptures, of the Old Testament, or what you might know as the Old Testament. 39 books. And I know that many of you all don't understand why it's just 39 when there's other books mentioned. And we brought to your attention that these books, these 39 books, the Creator, according to the book of Isaiah, the 34th chapter, the 16th verse, that the Creator commanded these books. Yahweh's Spirit gathered these books. Therefore, the Creator told us to seek ye out of the book of Yah and read. Let us read that in the book of Isaiah. Isaiah, the 34th chapter, the 16th verse. Seek you out of the book of Yahweh and read. No one of these shall fail. Not one of these books shall fail. None shall want her mate. None, in other words, have a match that can match any of the books. For my mouth it has commanded, and his spirit it has gathered them. All the various books, Yahweh gathered these things. And there's no books left out that we need to know the Most High or his word. But his word is precious. So precious that the Creator said every word of Elohim is pure. And he is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Add thou not unto his words, lest he reprove thee, and thou be found a liar. And so what we have embarked on is going over all 39 books. We dealt with the book of Joshua, as well as Judges, Ruth, 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, 1 Kings, and 2 Kings. And that will bring us all the way through the 11th and 12th book of the Holy Scriptures. We're not only giving the purpose of the book, the meaning of the book, but its order. A lot of the people don't even see how relevant it is to know the books of Yahweh in order by heart. And if you don't know the books of Yahweh in order, from the first all the way to the 39th book, it's only because you don't think it's relevant. Just like many people don't even think it's relevant to know the plagues of Yah in order, or the 10 Commandments in order, or many of the various things that Yahweh command us to do in order. Everything about Yahweh, everything is about order. This is why oftentimes, most of the times, you will see in the scriptures where things are put in place in order. Birth order, generational order, order in terms of commandments. And our people have been out of order so long that they don't know, they don't understand the value, the relevance of putting things in order. As I stated before, we're at the 13th and 14th book of the Holy Scriptures, which is the book of Chronicles. And we will deal with First Chronicles as well as Second Chronicles. I just want to do a quick review on the book of Kings. First Kings and Second Kings. You notice that the last few books, they have been multiplied like First Samuel and Second Samuel, First Kings, Second Kings, First Chronicles, Second Chronicles. What is Yahweh trying to establish? Because when you see things being doubled in this way, it's only because Yahweh is trying to establish something for you, trying to establish something with you. Again, we talked about the book of Kings, which come from the Hebrew word Melech or Malak, which is the root word that it comes from, which means dominion, even though, or to rule, even though they will translate this word as angel, as king, as messenger. But all the various translations still don't give you the meaning. And the meaning deals with its purpose. And its purpose deal with the time and the judgment that matters. And so the book of Kings actually means to reign, to rule, to have dominion. But Yahweh don't want you just to see what these other kings are doing and even what our kings are doing. He wants you to see true dominion, true rulership. And how can you reign? How can you rule or have dominion without certain things? For example, in the book of First Kings, since we're talking about kings, and we're going to jump right into Chronicles, watch what this says in the book of First Kings. First Kings, the 10th chapter. And I want you to see this. And I tried to let our people know this. A couple of things I want us to read. And watch what this says. First Kings 10, and we're going to start at the very first verse. And it says, and when the queen of Sheba heard of the fame of Solomon concerning the name of Yahweh, she came to prove him with hard questions. Because that's what you do. When, you wise and you know everything, little do people know that we come on every day And it's because we're ready and prepared for the hard question. As a matter of fact, our address right here, if you look it up, 2330, goes to the word hard questions. And this is what Solomon, they came to prove Solomon with, to test Solomon. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great train with camels and that bear spices, very much gold, precious stones. When she had come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart. In other words, she wanted to impress him. Since he's so impressive, let me take some things to impress him. But of course, whatever she came to do ended up happening to her. And Solomon told her all her questions. There was not anything hidden from the king, which he told her not. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all of Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, the food on his table, I mean, we just put food on the table, but no, there's a rhyme and a reason, even to how you lay out a table. The sitting of his servants, the attendance of his ministers, their apparel, his cupbearers, his ascent by which he went up to the house of Yahweh. There was no more spirit in her. And why? Because she had never seen anything like the such. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of your acts and of your wisdom. However, I believed not the words until I came, and my eyes had seen it. And behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and prosperity exceeds the fame which I heard. In other words, I heard some great things. I heard things that I didn't even believe it. Who would believe such things that people was telling me? But not only it was true, but when she came to see it with her own eyes, hear with her own ears, they didn't even explain half the things to her. What she seen and heard exceeded the fame in which was heard about it. Happy are your men, happy are these your servants, which stand continually before you, and that hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahweh your Elohim, which delighted in you to set you on the throne of Israel, because Yahweh loved Israel forever. Therefore made he you king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, spices a very great store, precious stones. There came no much such abundance of spices as these was the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. In other words, she came to impress him. And it was impressive that the spices that she gave him, nobody else could give him. This was her special, peculiar account. And the navy also of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great plenty of almond trees, precious stones. And the king made of the almond trees pillars for the house of Yahweh, for the king's house, harps, also and psalteries for singers. there came no such almond trees, nor were seen until this day. This is how magnificent things were, how peculiar, because we serve a peculiar Elohim, and Yahweh is a king. He's a king. So everything about Yahweh is going to be peculiar. And the greatest thing, the number one thing, the most important thing that will make you peculiar on earth is wisdom. And that's what Solomon possessed, is wisdom. Everybody trying to get everything else except for wisdom. And King Solomon gave to Queen of Sheba all her desire, whatever she asked, besides that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. In other words, this man had so much wisdom, he was able to satisfy most people. The only way they're going to be satisfied is with money. They're going to be satisfied with wares and jewels and golds and diamonds. But who is satisfied with wisdom? Here it is in the book of 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter. This is what it says in the 5th verse. In Gibeon, Yahweh appeared to Solomon in a dream by night. And Elohim said, ask what I shall give you. In other words, what would you ask for if Yahweh came to you and said, what shall I give you? And Solomon said, you have shown to your servant David, my father, great mercy, according as he walked before you in truth and in righteousness and in uprightness of heart with you. And you have kept for him this great kindness, that you have given him a son to sit on his throne as it is this day. And now, O Yahweh, my Elohim, you have made your servant king instead of David, my father. And I am but a little child, and I know not how to go out or come in. And to be quite frank, we have grown men that don't know how to go out and come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, which you have chosen, a great people that cannot be numbered nor counted for multitude. Give therefore your servant an understanding heart to judge your people, that I may discern between good and bad. For who is able to judge this, your so great a people? And the speech pleased Yahweh that Solomon had asked this thing, because Yahweh loved him. And Elohim said to him, because you have asked this thing, and have not asked for yourself long life, which most people would ask for that, neither have asked riches for yourself, and a lot of people will ask for that, nor have asked the life of your enemies, and a lot of people will ask for that, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern judgment. Behold, I have done according to your words. Lo, I have given you a wise and understanding heart, so that there was none like you before you. Neither after you shall any arise like unto you. And I've also given you that which you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that there shall not be any among the kings like unto you all your days. This is how peculiar and special a king can be. This is Yahweh desire. This is how Yahweh see a king. Yahweh said he made us in his image and his likeness. So this is the type of king Yahweh desire. Because this type of king will bring glory to him. You heard what the Queen of Sheba said after she witnessed everything. First of all, she knew the only way you could know the things that you know is that you got this from heaven. You got this from the Most High. You got this from Elohim. That's the only way you can know these things. In the book of 1 Kings, the 4th chapter, this is what it says. And not just Queen of Sheba. Watch this, the 29th verse. And Elohim gave Solomon wisdom and understanding exceedingly much, largeness of heart, even as the sand that is on the sea shore. And Solomon's wisdom excelled the wisdom of all the children of the east country and all the wisdom of Egypt. For he was wiser than all men, than Etan the Ezrathite, Heman and Kalkol and Darda, the sons of Mahol, and his fame was in all nations round about. He spoke 3,000 proverbs. His songs were 1,005. He spoke of trees, from the cedar tree that is in Lebanon, even to the hyssop that springs out of the wall. He spoke also of beasts and fowl and creeping things, and of fishes, sea creatures. And there came of all people to hear the wisdom of Solomon, from all the kings of the earth, which had heard of his wisdom. They just tuning in to his wisdom. And these are the things that you want to know. This is what a king is all about. Here it is, even wisdom itself. Watch what wisdom says in the book of Proverbs, the 8th chapter. We're just reviewing the book of Kings, and then we're going right to the book of Chronicles. In the book of Proverbs, the 8th chapter. And this is what it says. And we're going to start at the 11th verse. For wisdom is better than rubies, and we still hadn't got that message yet. And all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out the knowledge of witty inventions. The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil, pride, arrogance, and the evil way. And the forward mouth do I hate. Counsel is mine, sound wisdom. I am understanding. I have strength. And watch what it says. By me, kings reign, and princes decree justice. By me, princes rule, and nobles, even all the judges of the earth, all of them. I love them that love me, and those that seek me earnestly shall find me. Riches and honor are with me. Yes, durable riches and righteousness. My fruit is better than gold, yes, than fine gold, and my revenue than choice silver. I lead in the way of righteousness in the midst of the path of judgment. See, this is what wisdom is all about. So how can you have dominion over the earth? How can you rule the earth? In other words, how can you be a king without wisdom? Because through wisdom, where do you think you're going to get your riches and your honor, your power, to even know judgment, understanding, righteousness? All that is through wisdom. And to truly reign on earth or in the heaven in any kind of way, you must have wisdom. That's why it's vain to go around calling yourself a king, total vanity, and you don't even know nothing. As a matter of fact, if you're a true king, watch what this says. In the book of Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to conceal a thing, but the honor of kings is to search out a matter. And a lot of people don't want to search things. They don't want to know things. The scriptures say knowledge is easy to him that understands. Let me show you this. Going back to Proverbs 8. We don't want to search nothing. And then you got somebody like Solomon. Why you think you got Proverbs? Why you think you got the book of Ecclesiastes? These are the words of Solomon, Songs of Solomon. Because this man searched out things. We think we know things, and we haven't searched out nothing. Search nothing, but you know it all. You know things. And Solomon did search things. But we think our knowledge is like his. In the book of Proverbs, the 8th chapter, the 9th verse, or 8th and 9th verse. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There's nothing forward or perverse in them. Then it says, they are all plain to him that understands. Right to them that find knowledge. This stuff is plain to people that really understand. The only people that have problems with the things that I teach are people who don't have wisdom. I know that sounds cruel and arrogant, but that's the truth. I'm not telling you nothing hard. I'm not showing you nothing hard. Everything I'm showing you is very plain. Very plain. That's just like 2 of the 39 books that we're going to go over right now. And that's 1 Chronicles and 2 Chronicles. Do you even know the purpose of 1 Chronicles and 2 Chronicles? Do you even know what the word Chronicles actually mean? What its purpose for? Here it is. We have these books, but if you ask the average person, what do these books mean? What are they purpose for? They're not going to be able to tell you. They might tell you what's in those books. But tell them, ask them. And that's what this is all about. Asking the hard questions. Forget all the easy questions. I get a lot of questions that people ask me, and a lot of times I don't even respond to them because they're easy. These questions are things that you can search out for yourself. But a lot of people don't search them out. They just rather ask, and won't search nothing out. But just to show you something, this is what Solomon, this is what a king, not just Solomon, because Solomon was just an instrument that Yahweh will use. In the book of Ecclesiastes, the first chapter, I just want you to see this. And watch what this says in the 12th and 13th verse. It says, I, the preacher, was king over Israel in Jerusalem. And I gave my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. This grievous job has Elohim given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith. In other words, this wasn't just given to Solomon to be exercised therewith. This was given to the sons of man to be exercised therewith, to seek and to search out by wisdom concerning all things that are done under heaven. But who want to know that? All you want to know is things that pertain to you. But you don't want to know the purpose behind life itself and all things itself and all things done under heaven. Which brings us to 1st and 2nd Chronicles. Most of the times you see the word chronicle in the scriptures, it comes from the Hebrew word yom, which you should know that Hebrew word by heart, which means day, light. And then it's often connected because it's talk about what is written. It's talk about the acts of the various kings. But not just the kings, the inhabitants of the earth, period. And I'm going to show you this. But you will see the word yom, which means day, the word dabar, which means word, mahaseh, which means written, zakar, which means to record. These all Hebrew words that's very relevant when you're talking about the book of Chronicles. That's why you're going to see the word day or acts or word or chronicle or work. Even when you just open up the first page of 1st Chronicles, if you ever ask somebody, what does the 1st Chronicles, the first chapter, the very first verse talk about? They ain't gonna tell you because they just skip over this whole book. And what it's talking about is the sons of Adam. And not just the sons of Adam, the history of mankind itself. And why is it talking about the history of mankind? It mentions Adam and Sheth and Enosh and Kenan and Mahalaleel and Jared and Hanak and Methuselah or Enoch or Lamech and Noah and Shem and Japheth. Then it goes right into the sons of Japheth. And why? Because he's the oldest son. Then the sons of Ham, because he's the second oldest. Then the sons of Shem, because he's the third oldest, even though when they're mentioned in the scriptures, he's mentioned first, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. And then it began to chronicleize all the various people on earth. Now, I may add, everybody that's born in the earth is not mentioned. Everybody that propagated is not mentioned. But a lot is mentioned. And why? Because Chronicles is all about having a record of everything. And everything that matters. And there's many things that matter according to the word of Yahweh. Do you realize your birth matters? Your death, the death matters. Creation matters. Who designed and when they designed matters. Family history matters. Here it is. We was raised on some false foolishness that a man should be a man of his word and you can just shake on it. Look, we ain't have to write nothing down. We just shook on it. Man, Yahweh ain't shaking on nothing. Everything about Yahweh is a matter of record. Everything he wants to be a matter of record is a matter of record. You'll see where people make vows and promises, and Yahweh write that down. Word for word. And why? Because it's called Chronicles. A whole book dedicated to the records of life. Show you how deep Chronicles is, and you might also want to know why is it the 13th and the 14th book of the Holy Scriptures, other 39 books, because little do people know the first record of a king. I'm talking about the very first record of a king. It's in the book of Genesis, the 14th chapter. Since Chronicles also is the 14th book. But let us read that. Even though Chronicles is not just talking about kings, but make no mistake about it, it is talking about the kings of the earth. But in the book of Genesis 14, watch what this says. You won't read not one word about a king before this time. And watch what this says. In the book of Genesis, (14), and I'm going to start reading. Well, we'll start at the first verse. It says, and it came to pass in the days of Raphael, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Eleazar, Kedolamar, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations. What kind of king is that? King of nations. That these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, with Bershah, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemember, king of Zeboim, king of Bela, which is Zoar. All these were joined together in the valley of Siddim, which is the Salt Sea. 12 years they served Kedolamar. And in the 13th year they rebelled. And in the 14th year came Kedolamar and the kings that were with him. See, in other words, even from the book of Genesis, all the very dukes you had, all the various tribes you had, all the various inhabitants of the earth you had, you didn't start reading about kings until you get to Genesis 14. Why? Because once you begin to talk about the various kings of the earth who is set up by the Most High, there had to be a record. A record of their acts, a record of their words, a record of their work. Just like Yahweh himself have a record of his works, a record of his words. Even though Yahweh been speaking since the beginning in Genesis, the first time you will see Yahweh speaking to anyone in this manner is in Genesis 15. And watch what it says. The very first verse. And after these things, the word of Yahweh came to Abram in a vision. What do you think the word of Yahweh, what do that mean? What? It comes from the Hebrew word dabar, which means words. Same word that is used when talking about Chronicles. Yom dabar, the daily words, the daily acts, the daily work. In a vision saying, fear not, Abram, I am your shield and your exceedingly great reward. This was the word, and Yahweh wanted that written. He wanted that chronicled for a record for time to come. And we just haven't learned the value, the significance of these things. How else can you know history? Here it is. We got people walking around, don't even know their brothers and sisters. Don't even know their daddies and mamas. Don't even know their family tree. Don't even know who he's married to. Well, our people did, because they put these things in writing. And why? Because Yahweh did. Yahweh seen and thought it was important to do so. And I see why. How else can you know history? Here it is. Watch this. In the book of Deuteronomy 30. In the history that Yahweh wanted you to know is all about your generations, the heavens, the earth, which all these are generations. Watch this in the book of Deuteronomy 30. And I may add, just read these other books, these other history books, and look how much they will leave out to see, so that you can verify whether these books have value or not. A lot of these history books is total madness, foolishness, and lies. Their dates are wrong. Their names are wrong. And many other things. In the book of Deuteronomy 30, the 19th verse, and we're talking about First Chronicles and Second Chronicles because both are talking about the same thing, and they're both the 13th and the 14th book of the Holy Scriptures. They're both purpose for something to be chronicalized, written, worked, so that you can know for time to come. And I'm going to show you that. Here it is in Deuteronomy 31 and 19. Oh, I'm sorry, 30 and 19. I call heaven and earth to record this day against you, that I've set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore, choose life, that both you and your seed may live. It's a record for that. Your choices are recorded. It's recorded in heaven. It's recorded on earth. You think you're getting away with something, but you're not getting away with nothing. That you may love Yahweh your Elohim, that you may obey his voice, that you may cling unto him, for he is your life, the length of your days, that you may dwell in the land which Yahweh swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, to Yaakov, to give them. Yeah, this is for a chronicle. Watch this in Deuteronomy 31, the 28th verse. Gather to me all the elders of your tribes, your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears, and call heaven and earth to record against them. For I know that after my death you will utterly corrupt yourselves. Turn aside from the way which I've commanded you. Evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. And Moshe spoke in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of the song until they were ended. This is a record. That's what Chronicles is. A record of a matter of fact. And since we're talking about First Chronicles, go to First Chronicles, the 16th chapter. Even the wisest man won't remember everything that came out of his mouth. And nobody wiser than Yahweh. And Yahweh knows exactly what he said. And he still put his words in writing. In First Chronicles, the 16th chapter, watch what this is. Fourth verse, First Chronicles 16 and 4. And he appointed certain of the Levites to minister before the ark of Yahweh and to record and to thank and praise Yahweh, Elohim of Israel. In other words, that this was set aside for that. Set aside for it. Because this really is a heavenly work. Keeping good records. Even Job understood this. Watch what Job said in the book of Job. Job 16. In the book of Job, the 16th chapter, this is what it says. We'll start at the 15th verse. I've sewed sackcloth upon my skin and defiled my horn in the dust. My face is foul with weeping, and on my eyelids is the shadow of death. Not for any injustice in my hands. Also my prayer is pure. O earth, cover not you my blood, and let my cry have no place. Also now, behold, my witness is in heaven, and my record is on high. Because at the end of the day, you might not know. You may have forgotten, but not Yahweh. Yahweh have a record of everything. Everything that matters. And one of the things that definitely matters to Yahweh is recorded in the book of Nehemiah, the 7th chapter. And we're talking about Chronicles because Yahweh his words, his acts, he wants records of these things written for time to come. Because when it's said later on, and you can't speak for yourself, you have records. You can prove it. That's why I tell people all the time, look, prove what you're saying. Show me what you're saying. Don't just tell me what you believe. Prove it. Show me. Here it is in the book of Nehemiah, the 7th chapter. Nehemiah 7, verse 63, 64. And the priests, the children of Habiah, the children of Koz, the children of Barzillai, which took one of the daughters of Barzillai the Gileadite to wife, and was called after their name. These sought their register among those that were reckoned by genealogy, but it was not found. Therefore were they as polluted, put from the priesthood. Undoubtedly, they went to the people and said, look, we priests. These are witnesses that we are priests, sons of priests. But they wanted their record of genealogy. Well, show us. Show us your records. Regardless of what I think, what you think, what I believe, what you believe, show us the record. That's what Chronicles is. That's what Chronicles is all about. That's why it starts with Adam, because it's giving you the records of even mankind. Also in the book of Esther, because I said it's the 13th and 14th book of the scriptures. But why? What significance does that have? Well, let me show you the significance of that in the book of Acts, the 3rd chapter. And watch what this says. I already showed you in the book of Genesis the first record of a king on earth is in the book of Genesis 14. What do you think 13 and 14 represents? Watch this. Esther, the 3rd chapter. And I'm going to start reading at the 12th verse. Then were the king's scribes, and why scribes, called on the 13th day of the first month. Why the 13th day? Why the scribes are called? What do you think Chronicles is all about? And there was written according to all that Haman had commanded to the king's lieutenants, to the governors that were over every province, and to the rulers of every people, of every province, according to the writing thereof, and to every people after their language. In the name of King Ahasuerus was it written and sealed with the king's ring. And the letters were sent by post into all the king's provinces to destroy, to kill, to cause to perish all Yehudanites, both young, old, little children and women, in one day, even upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, which is a heathen month, and to take the spoil of them for a prey. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published to all people, that they should be ready for that day. Because the 13th and the 14th is a sign of Chronicles, something being written, writing, and chronicleized, records. The post went out, being hastened by the king's commandment, and the decree was given in Shushan the palace. And the king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city Shushan was perplexed. You also find this in the book of Esther, the 8th chapter. Watch this. Talking about Chronicles. What does it mean? What is its purpose? In the book of Esther, the 8th chapter, starting at the 10th verse, watch what it says. And he wrote in the king Ahasuerus' name, sealed it with the king's ring, sent letters by post on horseback, riders on mules, camels, and young dromedaries, wherein the king granted the Yehudanites, which were in every city, to gather themselves together, to stand for their life, to destroy, to slay, to cause to perish all the power of the people and province that would assault them, both little ones and women, to take the spoil of them for a prey. 12th verse again. Upon one day, in all the provinces of King Ahasuerus, especially upon the 13th day of the 12th month, which is the month of Adar, because they're going to keep repeating this thing, because this was the chronicle day, the written day, the day of record, that they wanted everything to be memorialized or recorded. The copy of the writing for a commandment to be given in every province was published to all people, and that the Yehudanites should be ready against that day to avenge themselves on their enemies. In the book of Esther 9, the very first verse, Again, the same thing. Now in the 12th month, that is the month of Adar, on the 13th day of the same, when the king's commandment and his decree drew near to be put in execution, in the day that the enemies of the Yehudanites hope to have power over them, though it was turned to the contrary, that the Yehudanites had ruled over them that hated them. This day was not going to be forgot. It was sealed. It was stamped. It was written. Even the 17th and 18th verse. On the 13th day of the month of Adar, on the 14th day of the same, rested day, made it a day of feasting and gladness. But the Yehudanites that were at Shushan assembled together on the 13th day thereof, on the 14th thereof, and on the 15th day of the same, they rested and made it a day of feasting and gladness. Therefore, the Yehudanites of the villages that dwell in the unwalled towns made the 14th day of the month of Adar a day of gladness and feedness, a good day, sending portions one to another. This is why you have today what is called Juneteenth. Juneteenth. That on June the 19th, when all the other slaves in the South was being freed, here it is in certain places in the South, like Texas, they didn't even know that they was free. And so on June 10th or June 19th, they began to learn what everybody else already knew. So what did they do? They wrote that date down. They chronicled that day, celebrated that day. Many of the various blacks in the South. Now this day has become a national holiday. But if it wasn't chronicled, if it wasn't spoken word, if it was not written as an act, work of history, would you celebrate it? Would it be a national holiday? Would you know anything about it? How else can we know our history without chronicles? All through the scriptures, if you read about the 14th day of the month, the number one thing that's going to come up, the 14th day, is the Passover. And why? Because Yahweh never wanted you to forget it, even into the future. Chronicles. That's why Chronicles is so important. That's why we need Chronicles. And that's why Chronicles is the 13th and the 14th book of the Holy Scriptures of the 39 books of Yahweh. It is a sign that Yahweh left as a record of truth, facts, act in his word. First Chronicles and Second Chronicles. Let us get ready to pray. Almighty Yah, creator of the universe, Elohim of Abraham, Yitzhak, and YisraEL. Thy servants once again come before thee, Almighty Yah, thanking you for your goodness, your loving kindness and tender mercies. We thank you, Almighty Yah, for your blessings. We thank you for all things, Yah. Thank you, Yah, for continually bringing us through each day, through each night, through all your seasons, Almighty Yah, evening and morning, that we might praise thy holy, righteous, and exalted name. Please continue to watch over us. Please continue to bless our hands as we labor and work in thee. Please continue to bless our heart, our mind, even our spirit, that we might meditate in our ways, speak thy truth, and walk righteously before thee. Please continue to strengthen us according to thy will and righteous ways, Yah, that we might be honorable in thy sight and show forth thy praise. And please, Almighty Yah, continue to forgive us. Forgive us for our sins, transgressions, and iniquities, all our foolish, wicked, and abominable ways, Yah. And Almighty Yah, please give us a heart of mind, even a spirit, even a return unto thee, so thou can return unto us. For we love you, Yah. We thank you, Yah. We honor you, Yah. We praise you, Yah, with all our heart, soul, and might, by saying, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Praise the mighty Yah. Yah is righteous, Yah is holy, and let Yahweh be magnified. And until tomorrow, Yahweh love you, and so do I. Shalom.
Yeah, 39 books. Yeah, come on. Yo, seek ye out the book of Yah and read. Speak these words to plant your holy seed. Obey his voice, know him and believe. Understand his Yah is none but he. In the beginning, he told us the ending that we wasn't winning because of the sinning. The 400 sentence of Shiloh's descendants needed repentance, and this is our genesis to our exodus in Leviticus. Learn with some respect on this, so we can number our days. The teachers that we was the slaves in Deuteronomy 28, the most popular. When he anointed Joshua, it's proven that Yah loved us by sending his judges, rejecting the grudges, embracing the truth. Other nations, the truth is shown through Ruth, the woman that David come through. Pete Samuel 1:8-2. Yah's chosen the kings, and you one too. Recognition, Chronicles in the first and the second, and Ezra Kohen, fasted by the river Ahava, stood with Nehemiah in the time of Hadassah, better known as Esther. Job struck with disease and boils that festered, and we giving our alms while singing Hebrew songs. The most wisest words are spoken in Proverbs. The Colette, the teacher, ecclesiastical preacher. Fellas wanna reach her, quote the song. The songs belong to Solomon. Understand the way that I'm on. Isaiah, Jeremiah, lamenting when Jerusalem fell. Also seen by Ezekiel, vision vividly given to Daniel. God said return to him in prayer. Remember Hosea. If we call on YAHWEH, he'll remember us well. Spoken by Yoel. There's no other book as famous. The words get deeper in Amos, Obadiah, Jonah, and Micaiah. There's none like Yah that rides on the whirlwind in Nehemiah. I'm giving you a look like he gave a Habakkuk. Gather yourselves and learn from Zephaniah. Consider your ways, word up to Haggai, cause this is the last days. And men Zechariah, remember the law of Moshe, and this has been